Hi friends, new video and also a new format because I thought it would be nice to have one time a week in which I will talk you a little bit through the stock markets, currently what's going to happen with stocks like NIO for instance, so maybe a focus in this video on NIO as well, and talking about pieces of news that I'm currently watching, and at the same time, what will be the next movers, for instance, for the stock price. And let's start with one video in which I will outline first of all why NIO stock is once again tanking today, so I'm talking a little bit about the trade war issue. Second, I will be talking about NIO, a new patent that has been filed the last couple of days, and it's about wireless charging. And then also a couple of things to watch during this week, because it's actually a quite interesting week for EV stocks in general. So if you like this new format, which is less topical, more on the news front and on the stock price, please hit the like button so that I know that you like this kind of a format, and I will continue with that and then do it once a week. So first, let's start off with the NIO stock price, and as you can see, well, today it's deep in the red. Currently, when I'm shooting this, trading -8%. And you can still see that in the last couple of days we obviously had this big run up where everybody got really excited about NIO, and it was hyped up, and lots of volume and stock price, new all-time highs each day, and then followed by this large sell-off with the unfortunate story about Goldman Sachs and the analyst trading here. And then, on Monday it started with another bull run, making lots of progress there, but now we see another sell-off today. So what's happening? Well, in general, I think it's pretty volatile, of course, since the last outbreak, which happened actually above the $8 a share price. We see that, well, NIO's kind of trying to find its new pricing there. It's going up and down really a lot, and I think it might continue like this for quite some while, because it's still the fight between the bears and the bulls. So the bulls are saying, well, now we have the confirmation of this great growth, so watch how other stocks like Nikola are being priced today. NIO should be trading much higher. And then there's the bears with the spearhead Goldman Sachs, who are saying, well, it's all overhyped right now, and you should watch it a little bit and be more conservative about it. So generally, in my views, it seems like the $11 range seems to have some support for now. I think we could watch this, that it may bounce off $11 a share price and maybe find some way up from there. But at the same time, if it breaks through this barrier, we could actually really drop down to the $9.80 line, and then maybe even further to the $8 line if there is some negative news, for instance, the July sales, or with the next earnings report. This all can happen, of course. And as well, we see that NIO sometimes correlates with Tesla share price a little bit, not entirely though. However, today we've got earnings call from Tesla. So investors are expecting Tesla to post a profit. Elon Musk, in his unique way of using Twitter to keep his followers informed, already made jokes, about the shorts that you could buy, the limited edition, and also now with his favorite memes involving a beer. These are all hints that it's quite likely that Tesla is actually posting a profit. However, if they are posting a profit, we don't really know yet if this S&P 500 inclusion has been already priced in, or if then the funds only start buying, which could even send the share price of Tesla even higher. Or maybe hedge funds and other funds have already started buying into Tesla, and let's say they disappoint with the earnings call tonight, then possibly we will see Tesla crashing down, and that will surely have some impact on NIO as well. And the next bit of news that is actually happening this week, and you should be watching, is that NIO is having some news about the EC6 So this new coupe, which is kind of a similar competitor to Model Y, and it's smaller than the ES6 that NIO has currently on offer. So might be a quite interesting car in a segment, kind of competing with the Model 3 and the Model Y at the same time, and at the same time cannibalizing into NIO sales for sure as well. But yeah, should have a huge potential for NIO in terms of ramping up sales. And yeah, we may see actually the announcement of the price this week on the 24th. So that might be something really exciting if we get more details on the car from NIO's side. There are some rumors floating around like that around the EC6 right now. And last but not least, why is NIO tanking today? I think that's largely due to the fact that we still have this trade war topic and the delisting that is kind of intensifying right now. We have an issue right now with Houston and the Chinese embassy and so on. So the conflict between the US and China has always had impacts on Chinese stock prices, obviously, and I did a video on that in much detail before, and my general views on that is that as a long-term investor, I'm not too worried about that. As I have outlined in my previous video, the summary would be that a delisting of Chinese stocks still has some time until a possible bill would actually pass, and everything is getting implemented. And even if that actually happens, which I highly doubt because there's Wall Street opposing that, and Chinese firms as well as US firms which are holding some shares in Chinese firms and so on. I think it's unlikely to happen, to be honest about it, but in case it should happen, it's not that this will happen overnight, so there will be a grace period. Also, there are options for Chinese companies, so they could make second listings, for instance at Hong Kong or at the star market, which is actually getting much more important for Chinese stocks right now. We saw that Ant Financials just made their public offering there, so actually I think it's actually really counterproductive for the US, because now Chinese companies will more and more orient to Hong Kong and to the domestic markets in order to raise capital. And in case that the company's getting actually delisted and they will, not be trading on Nasdaq and so on anymore, then surely there are ways that those companies are taking it private, so usually with a nice premium on top of the current share price. And also we see a trend towards a second listing, for instance in Hong Kong, which is actually positively marked by the markets. For instance, when JD did it, their shares have been also rising. And remember, the last time I did a video on the very same topic afterwards, a couple of weeks after, it was just all forgotten again, and the Chinese stocks increased again in value. So right now, personally, I'm not going into a panic sell mode here. I will keep on watching it. Of course, it's a very important risk factor of investing in Chinese stocks in general. There are even more, for instance, the ADR, the holding structure in the Cayman Islands and the Virgin Islands and so on is another risk factor for investing in Chinese stocks. But for now, as you can see, most Chinese stocks today are in the red, and usually volatile stocks, startups like NIO, they are even more impacted by such kind of news. And then last but not least, a piece of news that I saw on the Chinese internet is about NIO filing a patent for wireless charging. So in this patent, the abstract shows that the system includes a charging transmitter, a charging receiver, and a first driving device, as well as a second driving device and a control device, which can reduce the installation cost of the wireless charging system and expand its application range and be effective in the charging process. So as mostly with patent filings, you don't really get the full picture of what is the actual invention there, because they kind of just describe the general approach here. So it sounds like we have actually a new way of charging vehicles. Interestingly, the charging point should be at the top of the vehicle, and it seems to be kind of mobile because it can track the movements of the actual vehicle which is going to be charged, as well as having a second device, how they call it, which is actually also mobile and yeah, can find a way to the charging port and somehow charge the vehicle. So that's quite interesting to see, because it's actually another addition to the normal charging, the supercharging, as well as the battery swapping technology that NIO is having. And my best guess here is that this might be kind of the NIO Power 2.0 upgraded version, where now we see those mobile service cars that are driving around, interestingly, sometimes in China, charging Teslas on the road, but also of course charging NIO cars, and maybe at some point in time this could actually translate into a automatic version, a robot that drives autonomously maybe to the cars that are parked somewhere, and starting to charge it from outside and maybe wirelessly even. That would be a great flexibility and much more cost effective, as stated in this patent application. Or it may be used in an upgrade to the current battery swapping stations, in which NIO is always working on improving the times. And maybe there is another way of actually improving the charging process within those stations at some point in the future. So for now, I don't think this is something too realistic to see very soon, but interesting find here that NIO is working on something like this, which would basically introduce also a new charging standard for electric vehicles here. And of course, it's always interesting to see how the service or the time or the cost of the charging can be improved. So interesting to see NIO is active at this front, and at some more distant time in the future, we should see some implications on that, on the NIO Power and the NIO Battery as a Service level there. So yeah, that's the quick roundup of what's happening with NIO stock. A couple of news out there, things to watch in this week, and implications on the share price. I hope you enjoy that. If you like it, please once again smash the thumbs up. And also I'm preparing my more deeper analysis and topical videos on the site, and will be keeping posting them. Some of my Patreons already know that I also looked more into 2 additional stocks, so also stay tuned for more different stocks to watch other than NIO as well. And yeah, once again, thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one.